His specialty speeches number 3, selling the product. Liquid Gold, Confessions of an Accidental Beekeeper. Sandra K.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I am an accidental beekeeper. I spent 30-some years with multiple sclerosis, battling, and I moved down here at the point at which my health failed and my husband bailed. And I figured the best thing I could do was bring my kids to Florida. And I spent the next 10 years, 20 years, working, trying to raise my kids as a single parent, working full-time, and never noting from one morning to the next whether I was going to be able to get out of bed, because sometimes the MS struck and I could not get out of bed. I've been blind, I've been paralyzed, been numb from the rib cage down, unable to walk, unable to talk, had no balance. Around 2001, I finally had a decent job. I was working as a project manager at IBM until I had a very bad exacerbation, and I could no longer hide the fact that I had MS. My speech got slurry, and they thought I was either drunk or something else. I wasn't sure what, but they fired me. So after that, I went around trying to get other jobs. I tried selling life insurance, but I never really had a career after that. And finally, around 2006, I got so bad that my doctor looked at me and said, "You will never walk normally again." And I was housebound. I was looking at assisted living. I was frantically handicapping my house because I thought, if I don't do this, I'm going to be out of the house next year. I found something that worked, and I started taking low-dose naltrexone. 80% of my fibromyalgia pain was gone in 2 days. All of a sudden, I looked at it and said, okay, things are going to get better. So going from the point of saying, I no longer have a life, it's done, I'm finished, I now looked at it and said, gee, there is hope. And every year on this medication, I have gotten a little bit better. Until about 4 years ago, I saw that USF was having a program on honeybees. Now, I was a nature girl when I was a little kid. That was my nickname. I'd go out and I'd run through the woods all day, and I'd bring home snakes and say, hey, Mom, look what I got. I'd go out and catch lizards, and I had a butterfly net, and I'd collect butterflies, and I'd mount them. I collected rocks and leaves, and if we had the chance to come to Florida, seashells, my favorite. But I had spent my years working and having no energy left over, and all of a sudden, my kids are grown, and the energy's coming back, and the strength's coming back, and the stupid that was in my head from the MS, the brain fog, was lifting. And I thought, gee, they're having a course on honeybees. That's nature. I'd go back to something I haven't seen in years. So I went back and I listened to what they talked about the bees, and I thought, that's fascinating. And they said, oh, by the way, next month, we're going to put together beehives. Now, I had years where I couldn't even hold a pencil, and all of a sudden I'm looking at it going like, huh, I can hand rub hives together. I can do that. So the next month, I'm happily pounding together a beehive, and they said, next month, we get bees. And I'm going like, oh, I guess that's the next logical part of this, is I'm going to have honeybees. So I signed up and decided that in my deed-restricted neighborhood, behind the wall, behind the fence, I was going to start raising honeybees. So I went out and I said, okay, you wanted me to bring the whole brood box, it's just like 16 by 20 by about 9 plus a base on the top. And we're supposed to go out and put the bees in that and drive home with it in our car, not in the trunk, in the car, because they'll cook in the trunk. So I'm looking at this going like, 16 by 20 at the bottom and the top, I'm not quite that strong yet. And they said, how about you let me take the nook home? Now the nook has only got 5 frames in it. It was the little thing where the bees came. So I thought, I will take the nook home. And I took the nook home and I installed the bees, and then I drove the nook back and gave it back to them. and I was a beekeeper. They are fascinating animals, and I am still learning every day, every week, more about them. I have a jar of honey. You each have a straw in front of you. If you carefully remove the end from one end of the straw and the other end from the straw, Renata's going to take the lid off, and if you dip your straw in, put your finger over the end, get your fingers underneath it so it doesn't drip all over the table. Taste my honey, because my bees decided they were going to produce this year. Bees are interesting. I have here a frame that shows the different kinds of things we've got. Drone brood is kind of bubbled out a little bit. Is there a way I can get the light up here? It's bubbled out a little bit. The honey is up there and has that white kind of capping on it. The worker bee brood is flat. Can you see how this is bubbled out for the drone? And then the flat, and the empty cells are empty there. But I can go out there, I can look, and I'll hold up and I say, okay, there are brood in those cells. So I know my queen's been laying. I'm supposed to be able to see little teeny tiny eggs. My eyes aren't quite that sharp anymore. But it's really interesting that I can pick up these frames and look at them and say, does it look like it's healthy? Does it look like it has a good brood pattern? And that's what I do every 10 days to 2 weeks, is go out and check that. This here shows you the different kinds of bees. We have 3 different kinds of bees in the hive. This is the queen. You can see her abdomen's longer than most. She has, her wings don't quite cover her whole body. This here is the drone. You can tell a drone because he has what I call saddlebag eyes. His eyes kind of join together in the front of his head and curve all the way around to the sides. And he has a flat square butt. He can't sting. And he does absolutely nothing in the hive all day long except wait around and let the ladies feed him. His only job is to go up into the drone zone, which is 25 to 40 feet up in the air, and they all hang around up there waiting for the virgin queens. If the virgin queen comes up there, she will mate up to 17 times and get up to 5 million sperm that she stores that will be what she uses to fertilize eggs for the rest of her life. If she decides, and she makes the decision, if she decides that she's going to lay a drone egg, which usually is in a bigger cell, she will keep that egg from being fertilized. The drones are haploid. They have only one set of chromosomes. If she decides to fertilize the egg, it can be either become a worker or it can become a queen. She doesn't decide that. The workers decide whether it becomes a worker or a queen. Most bees, or all the bees, will start out at the beginning and they will get about 3 days of the food that is fed to queens, the queen jelly. And after that, if they're going to be a worker or a drone bee, they'll be starting to eat pollen and honey. It's called bee bread. If it's going to be a queen, they will go on and continue feeding her the queen jelly until she goes into the pupa. Now her cell's a lot larger and she comes out a lot bigger also. The first queen now, when she comes out, she'll start piping. Beep, beep, beep. And if there are any other, usually more than one queen cell in there, if another one goes beep, 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 she goes looking. She's on the warpath. She will find any other queens that are out and unhatched ones and say, well, she will kill all of them. She wants to be the queen. Then she flies up, mates, and comes down. She'll spend the rest of her life in the hive. She will be laying 800 to 2,000 eggs a day. This is one busy lady. She can live 3 to 4 years doing this. Your worker bees who go out in the field will last only maybe 6 weeks in the summer, sometimes as long as 6 months in the winter because they aren't out working as hard. But they work themselves to death. And the drones, they have a tough life. If they are fortunate to be the guy that gets lucky, they die. It tears them apart when they mate and they die. If you hit winter, and they're not doing anything, and the ladies are smart, first thing they'll do is they'll stop feeding them. And when they get weakened up, they'll drag them out of the hive and they'll kick them out. I have brought honey. Is it making it around?
Yeah.
It can take, a bee may fly up to 55,000 miles to get 1 pound of honey. This is the pound of honey. Honey is more dense than water. Looks like a small jar. It's about 13.5 ounces. Liquid, but it is a pound in weight. So that's the difference between honey and water. And that's why the jar doesn't look like it's quite a pints a pound. It's because honey is just heavier material. Honey is effective against all 3 of the antibiotic-resistant bacteria. It is also excellent for allergies. This is natural honey. I use crushed comb technique where I basically scrape up the comb, crush it up, and that's your honey. And if you have any other questions, you're welcome. I'm selling honey today for $10 a jar, which is basically the going rate in this area. As I said, it's all natural, and it is fresh, organic. That's perfect.